So I've been thinking about why people aren't peaceful, why I am not peaceful. So, in our thought process and in our experience of life, there's a constant dramatization that essentially occurs within the mind. Our thoughts color reality kind of around the identities that we identify with. And this happens for us, very much automatically, very much unconsciously. And yet, the only reason that it persists is because, in some ways, we are feeding into it. And I kind of thought of two reasons that people don't just drop their mental dramas, their mental games, their mental anxiety. The first reason is the feeling that if I drop my anxiety, if I drop my fear, if I drop my desire, then my life's just going to become a mess. And I'm not going to be safe, in multiple different ways. I'm not going to get, what I want to get. And so the thing about this is, when we are relaxed, when we're peaceful, we actually do a much better job at whatever we're doing. Being in a state of tension, a state of concern, just binds up your energy. And it just makes the whole thing unpleasant for you. So you can drop your fear and yet still do everything that you need to do. And actually, you're going to do it better because your own tension is not getting in the way. And so that's the first reason I think people don't drop their fear, and also a reason why I think this is necessary. The second reason is more interesting and more subtle, and it's that the mental dramas that we have, the stories that we create out of our experiences, they give a great deal of flavor to our lives, even the ones that are negative. The reason for this is that if you build up something in your mind to be this great drama, this great struggle, this great pain, that you have to overcome, when you do overcome it, when whatever negative circumstance, negative condition ends, and whatever positive circumstance or condition is gained, then you'll feel a great deal of pleasure. And this pleasure exists in direct proportion to the amount of suffering created by the dramatization of the mind. And so, if you drop the stories that you tell yourself, if you drop the dramatization of your life, then perhaps things begin to feel a bit empty, a bit meaningless. We create, epic tales in our heads about what's happening in our lives. Great conflicts, great desires, great dreams, great difficulties. Because it kind of gives us the feeling that, there's a great deal of meaning to what we're doing. There's a great deal of intensity to our lives. And what I'm saying is that you can experience profound intensity and excitement and interest while dropping all of the mental dramatization, the mental stories. That's what I'm kind of just now learning. Yes, I notice within myself there's almost the feeling or the belief that if I'm not in anxiety, then actually something is wrong. Because I think there's several things tied into this. There's the feeling that basically I need to be doing something. That, if I'm not in a level of fear, a level of discontent, a level of anxiety, then I'm liable to obviously not do something that needs to get done, or to even waste my life. But really, I'm just wasting my life in this anxiety. It's completely unnecessary to be in that experience. There's also almost a feeling of guilt, which has kind of been programmed in for not being anxious. There's, of course, feeling of belief in the original sin is one example. But it goes even deeper than that, that there's this feeling that I constantly need to be improving myself, changing myself, keeping myself in a certain state, a certain way. But again, this anxiety is just unnecessary. It's just a barrier. And so I've realized that it's really a much nicer way of living if one simply, consciously drops the anxiety, drops the fear, drops the mental dramatization, the stories that we tell ourselves, the way that we create constant stories about our experiences. That one can still, listen to these, enjoy them as good show, but not believe in them, not invest energy in them. It's really, really interesting how I notice this with myself, and I think it's true for almost everybody, that constantly the mental process is running, and it's constantly kind of centering around issues of identity and kind of stories about my life and who I am. Going over past memories, especially painful ones that might stand out, but also pleasurable ones too that then, make me want to recreate them in the future. It's constantly creating this whole web of stuff that is just not necessary. And a lot of the time it's painful. It's anxiety inducing. It creates a level of pain. And then this level of pain, this level of tension, this level of projecting my mind onto reality. Yeah, it's just not necessary. And one doesn't have to fight it either. One doesn't have to stop themselves from thinking these things. One just drops the belief in the necessity of listening to the mind. Now, you can still use the mind. You need to think about something, consider something, figure something out, create a plan for the future, understand something. There's nothing wrong with that, but the negative emotions just aren't really necessary. They just be dropped, and you can sit in unqualified, unconditional peace, which then really makes life a lot easier and actually makes you better at whatever you're going to do. I've been getting a lot of these ideas from reading Osho recently, so I recommend that you read his books. They're very good. Much love.